and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is
Gray Hair Gaming. That's not how it goes. All right, my friends, that's kind of a weird intro, but we're doing a weird thing today. So I'm a huge fan of the Total Soccer Show podcast. You can see the guys there. Let me get my... That's Taylor, and that's Daryl. Okay, there we go. They are an American... Well, okay, so American, Brit, but in America, in Richmond, they do a podcast called the Total Soccer Show 5 days a week. Fantastic stuff. I'm actually going to be joining, by the time this video goes live, their scouting network, which I'll tell you about in just a second. But here's what I love about the Total Soccer Show is these two guys are not taking the hot take route where it's just like angry guy number one versus angry guy number two, and I'm just going to yell to get clicks and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. They actually have well-reasoned out arguments. They rarely are screaming at the mic, although Taylor did get a little upset at the Trinidad and Tobago loss with the U.S. Rightfully so. I cried, right? But they come with reasoned arguments. They talk about what's going on in football around the world, or soccer, if you know you're American and all that good stuff. But it's an easy listen. Like, my blood pressure doesn't get up listening to them yell at each other, because that doesn't happen. So I'm going to put a link to their podcast and their website down in the description. But you're like, what's going on? Right? So Daryl and Taylor this past year did several different, best 11s, kind of like a draft, where they did a CONCACAF best 11 or a CONMEBOL or whatever. So they drafted the best 11 from the available players in regions, or in today's case, in a league like the Premier League. And so they built their starting 11s. They picked a formation. They do it just like you would a fantasy draft, except without like all the fantasy elements. They just had their players picked out, and then they talk about why they think their team is going to be better than the guy sitting across the table from them's team, right? And so as I was listening to that, I thought, well, that's really interesting. If there were only a way for us to truly determine who the best starting 11, like which team is the best of the two, wouldn't that be cool? Because we're not going to be able to put all those players on one kind of like all-star team. That's not going to happen. And then I thought, we have Football Manager. Of course, why not do it inside of Football Manager and do some simulations of those teams playing against each other? And so I reached out to the TSS guys via email and pitched them my idea and said, like, hey, I'll do all the legwork. I'll edit all the files in Football Manager. Why don't we make this happen? And they were like, cool. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is I'm going to be pitting Daryl's team versus Taylor's team. So I've taken some twists with it, and I'll kind of walk you through their tactic and their setup and the level of detail that each guy went into in doing this experiment. So let's get right to it. All right, so let's talk about how I've set this up. So you can't just easily, at least the way I know of, create an all-star team in Football Manager. So what I've done is I've downloaded the editor and put the various players that Daryl and Taylor picked on their podcast episode and put them on two specific teams. And then we're going to arrange for those two teams to play each other. Now, if you're sitting there, if you've listened to the Total Soccer Show, you know what those two teams are, but I might as well reveal it to you. So over here, Daryl is going to be taking charge of the Wolverhampton Wolves. That's no shock to you if you listen to the show. We've promoted them into the Premier League, so he's going to take charge. I've put his players onto Wolves so that he can manage them. And then, of course, Taylor is going to be taking over for Man United, and we put his players on the Man United team, and that way they're playing each other naturally in season. So that's what we've done there. So let's go take a look at the coaches in the game. All right, as you can see here, we got Daryl Grove looking decidedly British with his red coat and blue shirt and white tie. I was trying to use the flag colors, and he's got glasses because that's what he looks like, roughly. So I had to take a guess at his age. I'm going to guess 35. Sorry, Daryl, if that's older than how old you really are, but I'm just taking a guess here. I did some sneaky research, and I believe on either his Twitter or his Facebook account, he's got on that he's from Halesville in England. So we'll hope that's right as well, and that he's not just being sneaky. So in the game, I've given each guy, Daryl and Taylor, the appropriate credentials to be coaching a Premier League side. So Continental Pro license, international player, and it's got his attributes here. Those are all out of 20, but those are pretty good. So that's what he's going to be using as he moves on with the Wolverhampton Wolves. And here we have our American friend, Taylor Rockwell, again, guessing at the age based on some things said in the podcast, hailing from Richmond, Virginia. He's American. He's got the blue shirt, the blue jacket, the white shirt, the red tie, and the matching red shoes. I couldn't get amazing beard. That's not an option in Football Manager 2017 when you're setting up your coaches. That's kind of disappointing, Sports Interactive. Please fix it. I wanted to get like massive beard on there. Couldn't get it figured out. But again, same thing. Continental Pro license, international player, attributes. All right, let's go show you their squads and their tactics. Actually, before we get into that, let me just give you a brief explanation about who I am, because it's like, you're not Daryl or Taylor, right? So my name's Gray Hair Gaming. I run a Football Manager heavy YouTube channel. I also play some other games, but Football Manager is kind of where I sunk my teeth into it this year. Football Manager 2017 was really the first edition of the game that I really got into. It's a really fun game. You can tell all kinds of stories around, taking like small clubs, taking them all the way up. So make sure you check out the rest of the channel and all that kind of stuff. But if you're from the Total Soccer Show audience, you probably have an interest in the U.S. men's national team. I have a series, and there should be a card popping up right now with the series information. I have a playlist of videos around how to fix U.S. soccer, issues that I've seen in it. So I'd love for you to watch those and leave a comment. And yes, I am wearing the authentic, the original, well, the second, really. The first one was kind of green, and if they still had one, I'd take it. But this is the Who Are You Designs TSS t-shirt. That's what it's called. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's find out who has got the best team, and we'll talk about the methodology and how I set everything up right now. All right, so let's take a look at Team Daryl. On the podcast episode, he said he wanted a 3-4-3. When I tried to set that up with his guys up here, they don't fit that tactic necessarily. And so in a series of emails, I said like, hey, this is what I've got set up based on Yedlin and Saeed like being a better fit in the game for wingback on automatic, and he was good with that. So we've got Lukaku up top in an advanced forward role, Eriksson on the wing, Hazard on the right wing, both in attacking roles, Gundogan and De Bruyne in the mid. He specifically wanted Gundogan on a deep lying playmaker on support, De Bruyne on an advanced playmaker on support. And also, he's playing a counter-attacking mentality, which means you generally in the game want more people on support or automatic than on attack. So you could maybe drop one of these into support, but he wanted them on attack or left it unsaid. So that's what we're going with. And then Yedlin on the right wing, Saeed on the left wing, and again, the wing-back automatic role. Van Dijk, Vertonghen, and Azpilicueta, if I can get that out for the love of all. And I put him on the right. It doesn't really matter, really, because Vertonghen is left-footed. Van Dijk is right-footed. I guess we could switch them up there and kind of put them like that so that they've got their preferred foots. And Hugo in goal. So what you got to know, as I went through the conversation with Daryl and Taylor via email on what they wanted, I was sending them screenshots of everything, is Daryl has played Football Manager before, which is just funny because he's like, I want counterattacking, I want this, this, and this. That should be fine. Taylor and I went back and forth over like 3 or 4 or 5 emails with screenshots and like, this is what this role looks like and this is what this means, because he's never played Football Manager, or at least hasn't played it in a long time. So it's just funny. So this is what Daryl's got set up. So my methodology was I went into each player, and in their fitness and their happiness, I maxed that out. You can do that inside the editor. So they're thrilled with their existence. And I couldn't figure out how to change the tactical familiarity, but we got it up to where they're familiar enough And this is calling it a 5-2-3, but it's a 3-4-3 in Daryl's mind. So that's what we're going to go with the Wolves / Team Daryl. All right, now let's hop over to Man United / Team Taylor. So again, I was telling you, Taylor went back and forth with me via email multiple times about what he wanted. And I just wanted to read this one part to you, which I just thought was funny. It says, okay, so I don't know much about Football Manager simulations, but my assumption is that, because I was keeping them separate, like this wasn't in an email chain where they're together, so they're separate emails. But my assumption is that if Daryl is going to be counterattacking, it's best to go with a strategy that doesn't play into his hands. And so he was asking, like, what are my options up here to deal with that? Because he wasn't familiar. So I kind of walked him through that. He elected to take on a control mentality, which in the game says, this mentality is best employed for matches in which you believe you're a stronger team, but wary of your opponent's counterattacking threat. It aims to move the ball around the park and patiently probe, blah, blah, blah. So that's what he ended up going with. He wanted whipped crosses and tighter marking because he's afraid of Lukaku, because he knew Lukaku was going to be up top in Team Daryl. So he's gone with Alonso on support in the fullback and Valencia on support in the right fullback, Bailly and Alderweireld in the central defend role. Obviously, goalkeeper down there doing his thing. Conte on a box-to-box midfielder. Pogba on a roaming playmaker in support. Dele Alli on attacking midfielder on attack. Sanchez coming in off the wing as an inside forward on support. Coutinho, on the right wing in a support role. Again, he wanted to kind of have him knocking in balls. I think we're actually going to, if it's control, we're going to put Sanchez on attack and then Harry Kane up top. So again, did the same thing, got all their happiness and injuries taken care of and all that kind of stuff. So that's what they're going to have as they come in. And then they mentioned some guys, I guess I can go back and show you on Team Daryl, as like, well, I would have also taken this guy, because obviously you need to have some sort of substitutes. So Team Taylor's got Sergio Aguero, Gylfi Sigurdsson, Eric Dyer, and Ander Herrera. So that's what's going on with Team Taylor. Let me take you back real quick. Let's go look at Team Daryl. So he's got Adam Lallana, Jesus Silva, and Mane as his available substitutes. The game automatically is like, you have to have a goalkeeper substitute, so it gives you some players not on contract as options to sub in during the game. So that's what we're going with. So now let's go run the simulations and see how they turned out. All right, let's go over the results. So here's how I did this. I set the teams up. And then in Football Manager, you can, like before the game, go on vacation, and it allows you to do it for both managers in the game that you're playing. So I put both managers on vacation, set it to use the tactic, if at all possible, reject any transfer requests and all that kind of stuff. And then just did it, if the game was on Saturday, I did it from Friday until Sunday, and I did it 10 times. So we have a decent sample size. And I did both a home and an away game for each side. So the first round of matches was Team Taylor at home with Team Daryl away. And then I jumped ahead in the Premier League season to, I think it was like February. And then obviously Team Daryl was home and Team Taylor was away. If you listen to the podcast back, this is a couple months ago now, Team Daryl seemed to be, I'm picking the guys I like, and I'm going to play them where I want to see them try it out, because he sometimes does that, right? Where it's like, well, he's only played there once, but it'll be fine, right? Team Taylor was a bit more pragmatic and maybe put his players where they're more naturally used or more comfortable, maybe. So let's just go ahead and take a look here. Right. Let me move myself here for you. There you go. Okay. So with the first round, the Team Taylor at home, 22316111313050432231. So Team Taylor had 32 goals, which is 3.2 on average. Team Daryl with 12, which is 1.2 average, and only 3 draws, 7 losses for Team Daryl. Then when we switched it to where Team Daryl, get that home field advantage or whatever, they get their only victory of the entire thing is up there, 2-1. Everything else is a loss or a draw. Or the overall record between the two, or the 20 matches, was for Team Taylor, 12 wins, 7 draws, one solitary loss. So Team Daryl with a 3-4-ish, kind of maybe 3. Not the results that you're wanting. Let's take a look here. I'll move myself again. Whoa, sliding across your screens. It's got the averages there. So 1.3 at home, 1.2 away. So just barely better for Team Daryl. Team Taylor getting the 3.2 at home and 1.9 away. So quite the difference for Team Taylor. Looking ahead here, let's go back over here. Goal scorers. I thought this was kind of interesting because, maybe you were expecting, certain people to do better. Erickson and Hazard, who are playing on the wings, they're not nearly as many goals as Jesus, Mane. Mane coming in off the bench, getting 3 goals. I think that's interesting. And then if we look over here, I'll just move again. You've got Alexi getting 9, Kane getting 9, Conte getting 7, Pogba getting 6, Coutinho getting 6, Eric Bailly getting 5, which is more than Dele Alli in the attacking midfield role. I mean, I guess he's tall or something. Aguero coming off the bench and Sigurdsson coming off the bench and getting a goal each as well. But those are your results in the whatever we called this, the Total Soccer Show Premier League Best 11 draft. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Make sure you smash a like on it, share it around Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe if you're new. Check me out on Twitter. I'm at Gray Hair Gaming. That's also in the description. And if you're not supporting the Total Soccer Show, go and do it right now. And I just actually subscribed to What a Howler via their coupon code TSS2, like all caps TSS and the number 2, gets you 20% off, which is $11 off What a Howler. Support independent soccer media in the United States. And we'll see you next time. So if you want to see more stuff like this, make sure you tell Taylor and Daryl that's what you want to see. And maybe next time we'll see slightly more even results. All right. We'll see you next time.